Okay.
Once the live stream starts, I'm going to go dark and sit in the background.
That'll be my cue to start the meeting. Correct?
Yep. As soon as you see my video stop.
My kids are just shuffling out of the house. That's why I keep muting you.
All right, we are going to start this meeting. The purpose of this special meeting is to discuss the superintendent search and the options moving forward while abiding by the social distancing. At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to the DCMO BOCES District Superintendent, Perry Dewey.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Okay.
So as we know, social distancing is a significant issue for all of us at this point in time. Currently, I'll just kind of give you a quick update. The candidate pool is 9 at this point, and our closure for receiving applications was March 27th. We had scheduled our first round of candidate interviews for Monday, April 20th, and then Tuesday, April 21st. However, if the mandate isn't lifted by then, we would have some significant problems trying to interview the candidates. And so the question becomes, do we want to do the interviews of the candidates via Zoom or distance learning like we are doing? And if that's acceptable moving forwards, or I guess the other choice would be to wait until the coronavirus is past us and social distancing is past us as well, where we could meet with the candidates. So you have those two options, and I think that's probably the decision to make today. If we do move forwards with 420 and 421 as being, and assuming that we're still in the social distancing portion of the coronavirus, and we do move on with this type of a meeting, you can select your two candidates with the hope that by the time the interviews came, which were scheduled for 429 and 430, okay, that you could do live interviews, and you could have people in the auditorium, you could have folks providing you with input, school would be on, and we would be able to go through the interviews like we had planned. The other piece to think about here is in that case, if we got to that point and we were still under the quarantine, we could just push those out further. You could still have your candidates, you could still have them selected, but the interview portion of it could be pushed out further if you didn't want to do the interviews in this manner. This is obviously much different. We all have met each other before, and we all have a 3D image, if you will, of each other, and it makes it a lot more personal. If some boards, I don't know what your preference is. The only caution I have is, do you want to do this without having that more personal interaction with the person that's going to be leading your school district? So I think from my point of view, doing the first round of interviews, with the board like we had planned and doing it via Zoom, I think that's an option. Where I think you may have, some concerns as a board is moving to the final interviews, and how do you engage the stakeholders that you have within the community in the manner in which we were planning on. We definitely have to have a conversation and talk about that. And as we move forwards, it's not impossible, and I'm not saying don't do it. Okay. I'm just trying to give you all the realities of where we're at. So, and I'll
Mary,
take
one question
questions.
Oh, sorry. One question that I have for you is, you said we have a pool of 9 candidates.
Yep.
And that seems to be a good number of applications?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sherburne Earlville has 9 as well.
okay. And to keep in mind that we are in, we're conducting our superintendent search along with Delhi that we know of, just up the road.
Correct.
So I would hate to lose that pool if we push it out too far, because we could have a very good potential candidate within that pool. If we could, I don't know how anybody feels, and that's why I'm putting this out there. If we did hold the final rounds, or actually we would do the work session first, wouldn't we? To
Correct.
review the applications. So that we could hold without a problem. It's just the, if we have to do a Zoom meeting like this with the candidates that we choose.
Correct.
So my first question is, do we want to move forward with the work session to review all those applications?
I think we have to. Yeah.
Yeah, that step, at least that step has to take place.
And
Okay, so that was
that's something
scheduled
everybody
for
can review at home.
April 16th.
Right.
Okay, and we could do that, the same process that we're doing now. So if do we want to push the first round of interviews out to May? The executive order goes through currently right now, April 15th, but the president has announced that he wants social distancing to remain until April 30th. Yeah. Do we want to push that out until May?
How
Or do
about
we
a
want-
question for you here with the social distancing on the 6 foot? Trying to, and I'm splitting hairs here because we're in a unique situation. Instead of using the boardroom, what about using a classroom where you would have more square footage to maintain that distancing? So you could actually do not a hands-on, but an eye-on individual and see how many of these candidates would be even willing for something like that. I don't know what everybody else's thought is, but
Well, that also, Kevin, I mean, with there being certain travel restrictions and quarantine restrictions and things like that, that's assuming that you have candidates who are local who wouldn't be coming from, other areas and things like that. And I wouldn't want to knock those candidates out of the running who may not be in a position to travel here. I mean, I don't want to kick it out too far. I mean, I want to carry on with the preliminary review of the applicants. I think that, and we have to assume that this is going to be going on for a while. And, so we may have to think about doing at least the initial interview in this format.
Yeah, we're already going to be pulling together more than 10 people, just in this format alone. So we're already really precluded from doing that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think we should move ahead with the interviews. Do our meeting and then do our interviews, at least first round.
Yep.
Marilyn?
I agree with Arnie. We need to do the interviews.
All right. Miranda?
I agree also. We need to do them. And in this format, I think is best choice, like Paul said. So we're not pushing out any candidates that may not be able to get where they need to get.
Kevin, you were good with that?
I'm fine with that. I think once we do the homework on it and then we come down to our list, was going to kind of really decide on what type of travel issues we have to deal with or not have to deal with. But this is fine.
Yeah, options still
My only thing with this is hard to read body language when all you can see is somebody's face.
Oh yeah, it's certainly not ideal, that I get,
No.
but
So, and we'll see what the time brings too. We get down as we get into the month of April, we'll see where the stats are taking us more, and it may be showing us the light closer to the end of the tunnel, and it may show us that the tunnels get longer and longer. So I think this is a pretty fluent situation, and we're going to have to just kind of keep it that way, roll with it. And I don't know if I want to push dates out too far at this point, until we know we need to push them out a little farther or something like that. So.
Now, one other question that I had was the listening session. That was scheduled for
March
the March
31st.
31st. Is that something that that can be done at this point?
Yep. I think that is going to be very hard to do. I've thought about this a little bit, as you probably have suspected or maybe known through Larry. Our world, my world especially, has been tipped upside down in a lot of ways, in the fact that I'm on constant communications with the state, and then constant communications with the superintendents on a daily basis, and then also the staff. And so, our work day has changed. And during that time period, I've been trying to figure out a way in which we could get stakeholder input in the same manner, and do the listening sessions. And it's not, the format is this format. And in order to do what needs to be done, like we did in our sessions, it's going to be, I think, very problematic. I don't know how to do that. And I haven't came up with a great alternative. I just can't, I can't come up with a really good alternative. However, I think the alternative that is the closest is I could Zoom with the community. Okay, that I could do. I could explain the process that we would be deciding on now, and kind of keep people up to date on where we are with the process, for sure. I could ask them to do a T-graph on their own, and send it in. That could easily be emailed into an address for each individual. But as far as the group work and that needs to happen and how they would highlight it, that's the part that I find that's going to be really, really problematic. And so I don't know what a good answer to this is in that respect, because I can get to that point, but I can't get any farther past it. See what I mean?
And I think that you referenced the opportunity to hold or facilitate kind of a discussion, a community discussion via Zoom. You also referenced submitting something via email. The thing that knocks out of the gate is any participants who don't have access to technology, reliable internet, anything like that, or the means by which to get on when a number of our population rely on going to the local library and things like that for electronic resources or other places. So what I wonder is if it might be appropriate to draft something that could be either published locally, or as to here's where we are, and I don't know, obviously if we put it just on the website, that precludes a lot of people from gaining access to it too. But even if it's a radio spot or something to give members of the public an idea of here's where we're at. We're still hiring a superintendent, the show must go on. Here are the next steps. And if you have a form that's available, the T-charts that you referenced that are available for people to call maybe Corey and have physically mailed to them for them to return or something like that. I want to make sure that we aren't eliminating a portion of our population is the thing.
I was wondering, what about a global connect call to put that information out there so that we didn't rely heavily on the internet based, and then follow that format, Paul, that you just said, which is good. They can return questions and stuff directly to Corey. But I think the Global Connect seems to reach most of the population. So I think that might be the best way to engage that way.
But the Global Connect doesn't reach our seniors.
Right.
That's only school people. So if we took out an ad to add to that Global Connect in our local papers, whether it be the Daily Star or the Reporter, we might be able to take out an ad, and anybody wanting to obtain that information could call into the school and ask for a copy be mailed to them.
Yeah, I think
That
this
way
done in a couple layers like that would probably suffice very well.
Mhm.
Yeah, can that Global Connect be expanded to
No.
other people? No. Okay, so maybe that's the format we use, a Global Connect for this, as well as getting a local advertisement done through the papers, and that's the best you can really put out there. If anybody else can think of anything else, let us have them touch base with us.
I think the
What
radio
about-
spot is good.
Yes.
I was going
A
to
lot
say
of people
even
are
the old
listening to that.
fashioned bulk mailing.
Well, that could be held up by the post office. Legally, they're allowed to hold it for a certain length of time. And to send it out to everyone would be very cost prohibitive, first class.
Right.
Corey, how many people have responded to the last survey? Have we
I
had
don't
them?
know. That would be Dory.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know that either.
All right.
That does close today.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can
I-
actually, let me text her right now.
Okay. So in the meantime, while you're checking with that, Perry, I think that would be a good idea to get a Global Connect out to our staff, our school staff, and then put it on in the papers and at least a radio announcement.
Mhm.
Well, most definitely the radio announcement. I think a lot of our senior community members might be listening to that more frequently. So that would get the word out there that they could contact the school for information.
And the radio, they could do an interview on the whole process.
They could,
Very
yes.
willing to work with us.
Yeah, and I would be more than happy to, to help them out with that.
Okay.
Might not want to leave, what is it, WVOS out. They've been very good at coming down and doing the basketball games and stuff last year, wasn't it, VOS?
CDO?
See, it might
Or
be.
WCDO, like
CDO.
out of,
CDO,
Mhm.
okay,
Out of Sydney?
yes. Somebody that took the interest of coming to us, I'd like to reach out
So-
and give an opportunity.
WCDO and Town Square.
Correct. All right. So then we will continue with the April 16th meeting then.
Yep.
Review that. Okay.
And are we continuing with the 20th and 21st?
I think so at this point, my view.
I do.
I don't think we should put it off.
Okay.
I don't either.
Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Where's Delhi in their timeline?
You are 2 weeks ahead of them, I think. So you're in good shape. You're where you wanted to be when we started the process. So you're still in good shape. Bless you.
That's right.
So I will, going back to the community involvement, we'll pick a date because we've got time, because this just has to happen before the final interviews. Okay. So we've got time to schedule that. And so I'll work with Rhonda on that and Corey. Is everybody good with that as far as the date and the time? Okay. And then the other question then becomes, we'll keep the 16th, the 20th, and the 21st. Do you want to keep the times? Since now, I don't know what your schedules have been, how they've changed because of the COVID, but we always have our evening meetings, but is there an opportunity to do something like this that everybody can attend during the day, and then you guys could have your evenings to your families too? So just putting that out there.
Days would be tough for me.
We're working from home, but I can definitely box out this time if that's convenient for everybody else, no problem.
Middle of the day is bad for me.
And that
Right.
that far out for me, because we're getting, right now my staffs are shut down, but we're getting pressured to get people back in and going. So the 20th and the 21st, I don't know where we're going to be at that time.
Okay.
So
Be
do
able
we
to
want to
break out in the middle
keep
of the day.
it at 4:30 right now,
Yes.
as we had it
Yeah.
scheduled?
That'd be-
16th is 5:30.
Oh, yes, the 16th was 5:30.
Yep.
That is that will be an anticipated executive session meeting for discussion of candidates. So will that work for everyone within their homes? Or would you
Yes.
like that one changed too?
From
Works
home or
for
work,
me.
depending on where I am.
Yeah,
I can make it work.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave it at 5:30.
Okay, so we're leaving all the times also. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Dory
All
just
right.
got back to me and there were 105 responses on your survey. So that's pretty good too.
Very good.
It's right in the wheelhouse of what the searches have been running.
All right, was there anything else? No? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make it.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Who was that? Arnie and Kevin?
Yep, either
Uh,
one.
Whatever.
Yep. Sorry, Corey.
Kevin
Okay.
first.
I guess we should definitely use our names when we're doing that from now on.
Sorry about
All
that.
right, meeting adjourned.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Bye,
Stay
all.
safe.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you as well.
Good to see you all.
All right.